Jordan Peterson, you've said that men need to, quote, grow the hell up. Tell me why.
Well, because there's nothing uglier than an old infant. There's nothing good about it. People who don't grow up don't find the sort of meaning in their life that sustains them through difficult times, and they're certain to encounter difficult times. And they're left bitter and resentful and without purpose and adrift and hostile and resentful and vengeful and arrogant and deceitful and of no use to themselves and of no use to anyone else and no partner for a woman, and there's nothing in it that's good.
Well, hey everybody, welcome back, and as you can see, there isn't anything good about it. This is my opinions and thoughts on the interview between Cathy Newman and Jordan Peterson that was on Channel 4. My views on it will be expressed throughout this, and I won't bother summarising anything until later, but anyway, this could be a long one, so I suggest you get comfortable. I brought my trusty cuppa, and I brought my vape. Let's dive into this, shall we?
There's plenty of women that are watching my lectures and coming to my talks and buying my books. It's just that the majority of them happen to be men.
What's in it for the women, though?
I would imagine a few other people have probably picked up on that one. What's in it for the women? Well, it's fairly fucking obvious, isn't it? But let Jordan Peterson explain to you, darling, why... Well, I'll let him explain it, right? And let's discuss exactly why you can't figure out what the fuck's going on.
Well, what sort of partner do you want? Do you want an overgrown child? Or do you want someone to contend with that's going to help you and that you can rely on?
Women have some sort of duty to sort of help fix the crisis of masculinity.
Yes, they do. It should be an equal issue. Men should care about women's issues and women should care about men's issues. That's what equality is. But it just seems to me that you can't fathom that women should have some agency in this and have some personal responsibility. Like, men should take some personal responsibility and act like a fucking man and get on with it and not a whiny little bitch, which most men these days seem to be that way. I mean, there's no real men anymore. What the hell? Jesus Christ, we're a dying breed. Seriously, most of them are beta as fuck, right? And I mean that in the literal sense of beta as fuck. I mean, you don't believe me? Let me show you something that I found extremely amusing from a good acquaintance of mine, Peter Coffin. Wait till you see this motherfucking thing. This is beautiful. Oh, fuck's sakes, man. Oh, no way. Right, okay. Right, so anyway. Oh, sorry, I couldn't resist that one. That was just every time I see that, it still makes me fucking laugh. But anyway, back to Jordan Peterson, okay? Well, anyway, back to the whole topic of Jordan Peterson. Listen, ladies, if you want to have a competent partner, which is basically Jordan Peterson saying out the whole thing. Now, you'll notice I've not followed the whole thing through. If you want to watch the whole thing in its complete entirety, the link is always in the description to the original source. I don't like to take things out of context. That's why I do things the way I do. So, by all means, go into the link below and watch the full thing to get the whole thing. But I'm just picking at the points that really, really hit home. So, anyway, let's continue on and listen to how she just can't seem to fathom he's actually got views that differ from hers in completely different ways. But she, as far as I'm concerned, is a feminist, and all feminists are Marxists at the end of the day. They're all looking for equality of outcome instead of equality of merit, which is what it should be. But anyway, let's dive right back in again.
It depends on what they want. No, I mean, it's exactly how I laid it out. Like, women deeply want men who are competent and powerful. And I don't mean power in that they can exert tyrannical control over others. That's not power. That's just corruption. Power is competence. And why in the world would you not want a competent partner? Well, I know why, actually. You can't dominate a competent partner. So if you want domination...
Want to dominate, is that what you're saying?
No, women don't. Feminists, however, do. They want to dominate. They want to be superior to everyone else. They want to have complete control over men, so they hide behind the banner of feminism and use feminism because they're sad and lonely old cat ladies who have no prospects of ever having children or settling down, because nobody wants, well, Big Red, for example, who would fucking touch that? She is the epitome of a cunty feminist, right? But anyway, let's get back to this and see how Jordan Peterson responds to her here.
No, I'd say women who have had their relationships impaired, their relationships with men impaired, and who are afraid of such relationships will settle for a weak partner because they can dominate them. But it's a suboptimal solution.
Do you think that's what a lot of women are doing?
I think there's a substantial minority of women who do that. And I think it's very bad for them. They're very unhappy. It's very bad for their partners, although the partners get the advantage of not having to take any responsibility.
But what gives you the right to say that? I mean, maybe that's how women want their relationships, those women. I mean, you're making these vast generalizations.
I'm a clinical psychologist.
Boom. Facts. He's a clinical psychologist who's a professor of clinical psychology. I think he is more than qualified to say that is how it is. But look, wait to see what she does. She just fucking trails right through that, okay? I mean, but honestly, Jordan Peterson hit it square on the head there. Women have issues who have had previous issues with strong men who have used it for tyrannical purposes. Power for tyrannical purposes, or corruption, you see, that's just corruption. Right? And they now settle for the weak-willed men who can be who they can dominate. Right? Now, a real man and a real powerful man will not dominate his partner. He will exert his opinion and expect to have his opinion to carry some weight. But at the end of the day, it is a partnership, a relationship. It's a complete partnership. You have to work together to make it happen. In some situations, the man will make a decision on something and that's how it goes. In some circumstances, the woman will make a decision. And both partners, either side of it, will stand by the other one once the decision has been made. That is how it's supposed to be. And feminists just can't get the fact that some men are assholes, just like some women are assholes. I mean, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. There is just toxic people. Nothing else you can say. There's just toxic people. So, anyway, let's get back into it again.
Right, so you're saying you've done your research and women are unhappy dominating men.
I didn't say they were unhappy dominating men. I said it was a bad long-term solution.
Okay, you said it was making them miserable.
Thing. Yes, it is. And it depends on the time frame. I mean, there's intense pleasure in momentary domination. That's why people do it all the time. But it's no formula for a successful long-term relationship. That's reciprocal, right? Any long-term relationship is reciprocal, virtually by definition.
Whoa, did you see the look on her face there? Let's just see that look again.
Any long-term relationship is...
There, see? He's absolutely right. A long-term relationship, it has to be reciprocal. But, anyway, That look in her face was priceless. Let's continue, ladies and gentlemen.
So,
Let me put a quote to you from the
Sure.
book, where you say there are whole disciplines in universities forthrightly hostile towards men. These are the areas of study dominated by the postmodern stroke neo-Marxist claim that Western culture in particular is an oppressive structure created by white men to dominate and exclude women. But then I want to put
minorities too dominate.
Okay, sure. But I want to put to you that here in the UK, for example, let's take that as an example, the gender pay gap stands at just over 9%. You've got women at the BBC recently saying that the broadcaster is illegally paying them less than men to do the same job. You've got only 7 women running the top FTSE 100 companies.
Yeah.
So it seems to a lot of women that they're still being dominated and excluded, to quote your words back to you.
Right, before we watch Jordan's answer to this one, I'm just going to say one thing. As far as I'm concerned, the wage gap as it exists is technically true, but not in the way that it's been spun. The way it's been spun by cultural Marxists and third-wave feminists is that it's an inequality between pay for men and women to do the same type of work. That in itself is a lie. It is not, because it has been, as we all know, illegal to pay a man and a woman pay a woman less for a job simply because of her gender. It has been illegal for the past 40 years in this country. So that's why the BBC wage gap is bullshit. Now, I think Sargon has made mention to this. Claudia Winkleman didn't earn as much as Christopher Evans. That's because he's more popular. He's got the biggest popular show. If you like Tom Likas, if you listen to Tom Likas, Chris Evans, apart from their philosophies, is the British equivalent of Tom Likas, right? Tom Likas has the #1 show for his area. Chris Evans has the #1 show for his area. That's why he gets paid more. It's merit-based. He's earned the right. He's earned the right to earn that much money. If other women in the BBC worked as hard as their male counterparts, they would earn that kind of money too. People have drives, right? And some women, some men have very similar drives. But across the board, we're different and we have different views on things. We do different things. Our brain chemistry is different. The way we organise our thought processes is different. Right, I explained it to my niece previously, and I've explained this to my daughter as well. They like Barbie, right? But their brother likes Transformers, right? Okay? We're not the same, right? Do you like Transformers? She's like, no. Well, does your brother like Barbie? She's like, no. So why is that? She's like, I like Barbie. And I was like, well, that's why, right? Women have different, even at young ages, biologically we gravitate towards certain types of things. That's just what happens. Boys will sometimes gravitate towards mechanical toys, and girls will gravitate towards dolls, like baby stuff like that. Those kind of things. This has even been proven in chimpanzees. The females will go towards the teddies and stuff and care for them like children. The males will play with cars and more mechanical things. It is just hardwired into our DNA. We are biologically designed to be different. And that's the problem with feminists. They don't believe there's any difference between men and women, even though there is. And this brings us back to the wage gap. Men and women are different. They make different choices. Men are willing to sacrifice personally a lot of things to make a career, as where some women aren't. And generally across the board, women choose to take time off to have kids, choose lower paying jobs, not because they don't have the options, not because the opportunity is not there. Everybody in the West, UK, Australia, America, except if you're a white male, obviously, has the equal opportunity to earn to that. It's just people in general are different, and you can't lump everybody together in one stupid ass group. It just doesn't work that way. But anyhow, let's hear Jordan's response, right? Oh, and what I'm going to do, this is going to get extremely long, so I really want to jump towards the end of this, and let you have the last couple of minutes of the actual interview, because this is priceless. Okay, so stick with me, and we'll get to the real juicy stuff.
It does seem that way, but multivariate analysis of the pay gap indicate that it doesn't exist.
But that's
So
just
you
not
do,
true,
you-
is it?
That's
I mean, that
absolutely
9% pay gap, that's a gap between median hourly earnings between men and women.
But there's
that
multiple,
exists.
yeah, but there's multiple reasons for that. One of them is gender, but it's not the only reason. Like if you're a social scientist worth your salt, you never do a univariate analysis. Like you say, well, women in aggregate are paid less than men. Okay, well, then we break it down by age, we break it down by occupation, we break it down by interest, we break it down by personality.
But you're saying basically it doesn't matter if women aren't getting to the top, because that's what's skewing that gender pay gap, isn't it? You're saying, well, that's just a fact of life. Women aren't necessarily going to get to the top.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't matter either.
You're saying it's a fact
there are
of
multiple
life.
reasons for it.
Yeah, but those reasons, why should women put up with those reasons? Why should women be content
I'm not
not
saying
to
that
get
they
to the
should
top?
put up with it. I'm saying that the claim that the wage gap between men and women is only due to sex is wrong. And it is wrong. There's no doubt about that. The multivariate analysis have been done. So
Well,
I can give you an
Right, so this is where she cuts him off when he's trying to give an example. Now, he does actually manage to give an example to this retarded half-wit, but still, we're going to go on. But anyway, you see, he turned around and just basically told her it's wrong. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to dive right up to the end of this, and I think this is priceless. But anyway, let's see the gold.
Tell us about the lobster.
Well, that's quite a segue. Well, the first chapter I have in my book is called Stand Up Straight with Your Shoulders Back. And it's an injunction to be combative, not least to further your career, let's say, but also to adopt a stance of ready engagement with the world and to reflect that in your posture. And the reason that I write about lobsters is because there's this idea that hierarchical structures are a sociological construct of the Western patriarchy. And that is so untrue that it's almost unbelievable. And I use the lobster as an example because the lobster, we divulged from lobsters in evolutionary history about 350 million years ago, common ancestor. And lobsters exist in hierarchies, and they have a nervous system attuned to the hierarchy. And that nervous system runs on serotonin, just like our nervous systems do. And the nervous system of the lobster and of the human being is so similar that antidepressants work on lobsters. And it's part of my attempt to demonstrate that the idea of hierarchy has absolutely nothing to do with sociocultural construction, which it doesn't.
Let me just get this straight. You're saying that we should organise our societies along the lines of the lobsters?
I'm saying that it's inevitable that there will be continuity in the way that animals and human beings organize their structures. It's absolutely inevitable. And there is 1/3 of a billion years of evolutionary history behind that. Right? That's so long that 1/3 of a billion years ago, there weren't even trees. It's a long time. You have a mechanism in your brain that runs on serotonin that's similar to the lobster mechanism that tracks your status. And the higher your status, the better your emotions are regulated. So as your serotonin levels increase, you feel more positive emotion and less negative emotion.
So you're saying, like the lobsters, we're hardwired as men and women to do certain things, to sort of run along tram lines, and there's nothing we can do about it?
No, I'm not saying there's nothing we can do about it, because it's like in a chess game, right? There's lots of things that you can do, although you can't break the rules of the chess game and continue to play chess. And your biological nature is somewhat like that, is it sets the rules of the game, but within those rules you have a lot of leeway. But the idea that, one thing we can't do is say that hierarchical organization is a consequence of the capitalist patriarchy. It's like, that's patently absurd. It's wrong. It's not a matter of opinion. It's seriously wrong.
Right, and just in case you think I'm taking the piss, I am putting in as much of this now for context, but have you not seen so far in the way she's responded? She's tried to beat down and step over and browbeat down Jordan Peterson, and he's not letting her. He's putting her in. He's putting his points across clearly, concisely. Right? Now, we are really coming up to the end of this video now, so I want you to stick with me and just watch what happens.
Aren't you just whipping people up into a state of anger? And
not at all.
Divisions between men and women, you're stirring people up. You know, you have any critics of you online get absolutely lambasted by your followers, you've
And
got to
by
call
me,
them off, haven't
generally.
you? Sorry, your critics get lambasted by you. I mean,
If
isn't
they're
that
academics,
irresponsible?
not at all. If an academic is going to come
Okay.
after me and tell me that I'm not qualified and that I don't know what I'm talking about,
So
like,
you're
it's
not going to say to
seriously
your
not
followers
safe.
now, quit the abuse, quit the anger?
Well, we'd need some substantial examples of the abuse and the anger before I could detail that question.
There's a lot of it out there.
Well, let's take a more general perspective on that. So I've had 25,000 letters since June, something like that, from people who told me that I've brought them back from the brink of destruction. And so I'm perfectly willing to put that up against the rather vague accusations that my followers are making the lives of people that I've targeted miserable.
Jordan Peterson, thank you.
My pleasure. Nice talking with you.
Right, well, so, you see, well, I recommend clicking it in the link in the description and watching the whole thing, because at one point he gets her to actually agree with him on things. But I wanted to make the point, he stopped her there right at the end. That's what I wanted to make the gold bit for me. Well, what I thought was gold, is he stopped her right there saying like that, well, no. He hit her with logic and facts. And he's even caught her out a few times. I never said that. I've never said that, not once. But honestly, go and watch it. Watch the whole thing through. And then tell me what you think. But summing up the whole thing, it was an attempted browbeating by Newman, right? And that didn't work, because Jordan Peterson is far too clever. Far too, as a word for Scotland, far too clued up on what to say and what to do. Right? He was witty, charming, and do you know why he was laughing at the end? Because he can't believe he has to tell this to people. That's why he's laughing, in my view, personally. That's why I think he's laughing, because he actually can't believe he's got to talk to people. He's actually got to explain this to someone. But anyway, let me know what you think about this, ladies and gentlemen. By all means, leave me a comment. Hit like, hit subscribe. You know I don't do this for money, right? So I'm not a shill. So I'm not mundane Matt. I don't shill out at the beginning and the end and have Amazon affiliate links. But if you like the kind of stuff that I do, Patreon, Makersupport is down there. If you want to chuck me $1, that's cool. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alexander. I'll catch you in the next one.